Hey, Roger.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Roger.
I got the perfect solution for the burn pit problem.
What lines would be good?
Oh, okay.
Whatever, but I just want to let you know.
Put a gate across it, lock it Monday through Friday. It's only accessible Saturday and Sunday. That'll keep the contractors out. People still have access to do it. They just have to schedule their time a little better. Coming to the open house?
On the 11th, right?
Yeah,
What day
Thursday.
is that, Thursday? Maybe. What time?
6 to 9.
6 to 9.
We'll have a whole bunch of games. You can get some candy and prizes. And
Candy and prizes? I'm sold.
Firehouse, have you ever had them?
Oh, yeah. Are they your sponsor? It's pretty good.
They're giving us a really good discount, so we're paying for it.
Good deal. I know you're gonna announce that in your announcements.
You know when the trustee, the board meeting is? Is it
For us?
Yes.
Tomorrow night.
tomorrow night?
Yeah. It's gonna be a long meeting, I'm afraid.
Whatever.
No, I'm all right, thank you.
I'm just gonna ask you if I could buy one. I waited long enough to save you $1.
Doesn't look like you want to water.
I'm already planning ahead. I gotta have fibs, Ken.
Thank you.
1, 2.
One's fine, thank you.
Didn't they used to have a clock right there?
There's one right behind you in the middle of the wall.
Oh, it's all, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, the big one.
yeah. I don't know if it was over forever over there, but as long as I've been here, it's always been in the back. Do we just need a big mirror here so you can see it from over there? restrooms back there, Luke, if you need to.
Yeah, I saw, I
I
just.
know you've been driving for a while, so.
I saw the door.
If not now, maybe before you head back up.
No, I appreciate it, thank you.
Correct.
Okay, so any of the new business, if we got
Correct.
They're talking about this.
Basically, you know, the rules where it would take care of itself. The Boy Scout trail.
That's gonna be the one.
Yeah. Tom Garrett. The park, and he was gonna promote for, you know, the budget, we got, you know, this council, we had a budget meeting Thursday night, and as long as everybody was still in agreement, that if it was up for our first vote, then two votes for that. You know, and then the marine infrastructure. But I guess that comes in.
Could make a motion if this was a
Yeah.
law.
I think on that, to my knowledge, what probably will be discussed is this went out, the deadline was passed, and this is still one company that we got. We've reached out to the other ones, they declined, of interest, and, so I don't know if we vote, at that time we vote to move forward with this company.
Hello, Goins.
We talked about maybe. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Hello, Billy, how are you?
Get a few papers.
Get it going. My Jeep is right outside.
That's getting bad, yeah. Got my address. Got my address.
It's like
I know, I'm gonna strike down for you. No, I'm not. You're an imposter.
Tom, how are you, sir? Wait, were you, met with Ken this morning? Ken, they opened that up for discussion. We went over some of that with him this morning as well. Yeah, we had a nice meeting. Chief. Assistant Chief.
I got demoted because I came back. We already had a change.
Too daggone hard to get along with, that's what it
When is the ops meeting?
is. How you been?
Because I got 2 different dates.
Oh, I think good days, bad days, good days, bad days aren't near as bad.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's 5 weeks this month.
Yeah, well, it is.
A lot of
Okay, so that's
Sometimes
right.
that's a nice benefit. You get a 3-week period.
You able to get in a full day?
Oh, yeah, it's also good.
The 29th.
Yeah.
Muscle memory I don't have anymore, so. I don't fight fires and stuff anyway, I do.
Administrative work?
That's what I mean. I have a he doesn't. I left work every day.
Yeah, there's a pair of meetings.
Yeah, we're going to.
Wherever, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see you up, moving about, getting hard up again. That's all they did. Oh, yeah, he done. That's dominoes and discos over you, More crazy.
How you doing, Paul?
Well, it'll be better. I bought them in Russell.
America's Day begins in Guam.
Tony ain't even traveled that way. He definitely ain't probably
Some of them made their way down.
You go east a lot of times.
If that were the case, we wouldn't see 90% of the people that are here.
Because of that stuff. Oh, did you really?
What did you have?
Just that one picture that I gave you.
Oh, things that they put in over here.
It's the same thing, it's just not.
I think they tell you that first.
Just more so.
Fuck that for an answer.
Yeah, I remember that too.
I think you should.
It's just good for you to get out of the house.
Oh, I'd rather meet. Yeah. I thought it'd been a week or first night. I'm here. You can't just leave it. Figure out something to do this winter.
Is that right? I would think that the time here would have anything to do with what you guys are tasked with.
Actually, that's
Next thing you know, you'll be that little.
Work on the chopsticks.
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Reach out and grab
Didn't have an abundance. Not a lot of ATVs. Side by side.
Been on board.
Been on this one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Roger, right? Can I get you around counter for the? Oh, yeah.
I did it myself.
Oh, gotcha.
That's like 18 a month today.
That too.
We've never had an opportunity.
All right, everybody, I've got 7 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. This is the POA board meeting of October 8th, 2018. We're going to try to start announcing that before every meeting now that we have YouTube viewers so they can go back and they'll know which meeting they're listening to. I am not Charlie Beard. Charlie is out sick right now, so I'm kind of going to try to run the meeting and not make too many mistakes here along the way. So we'll get started. Start off with Ken Roselle, who has a recognition award.
Hello, everyone. I just want to take a moment here to recognize someone. On September 6th, we had an accident on the south end of the lake that involved a juvenile. The juvenile ended up going up and over the guardrail and into the water on its side. If you don't mind, Garrett, this is Garrett McKenzie. This is the gentleman that helped that boy out of the water. Garrett was fishing with a Heritage Lake resident here by the name of Bob Sanford. Is that correct? Okay. They were fishing over at the marina, and the story I understand is that Garrett had heard a crashing sound and looked up and seen a truck flying through the air, ended up in the water. Garrett at that time took it upon himself to enlist another boater for help. He jumped in the boat, ran out there to see what he could do to assist. He took a wrench and broke out the side glass because he couldn't get the door open, which ended up causing him to have some lacerations on his arm that ended up having to go to the hospital for treatment. So at this time, I just thought it'd be nice to, on behalf of the Heritage Lake community, to recognize you for this quick and brave act without thinking, for saving that young boy. This is the plaque I had made up. It says Heritage Lake Community Good Samaritan Award, presented to Garrett McKenzie for demonstrating a heroic act saving the life of an accident victim that occurred on September 6, 2018. Heroes are just made different.
All right, before we get too far, we're gonna do things a little bit out of order, in the interest of a presentation we have from somebody that, has quite a long drive home, so we're gonna do that next, but I know that it's a full room, and, just wanna let you know that we're gonna have open forum at the end of the meeting, so please hold your comments until then. You'll have your chance at that point. So, first thing we're going to talk about, we've got a guest speaker, Luke Jones from Corson Fire and Security, who's going to talk a bit about some of the services they offer with respect to electronic card readers, gates, keyed entrance to buildings, stuff like that. So, without further ado, welcome Luke.
Hi everyone. Didn't know I was going to be in front of a big crowd, but that's all right. I'm with Corson Fire and Security, been there 15 years now. I was on the fire side for most of it, but on the security side here for about 5 years now. We do a lot of homeowners associations as far as installing card access on all the buildings, locking everything down. I don't know if you guys rent out the clubhouse or anything like that for parties and stuff like that, but it's just a way to set schedules, keep everybody honest. I know the assistant fire chief talked about the burn pile, installing a gate, putting restricted hours on there. That's something you guys could totally do with card access. Residents in and out are the only ones through those hours that it's locked down, and then when it's open on the weekend, it's free for everyone to come in and come out. We could do camera systems. I noticed you guys have cameras in here, but lock down the pool gates, lock down the activity center. If a homeowner is not paying their dues, like their annual dues, you just simply shut off their access to the different areas. So make sure everyone's, like I said, keeping everyone honest. We also do fire extinguishers. That's a big part of our business as well. Notice you had one fire extinguisher in here. I'm sure you have in all the other buildings as well. So that's something else Corson Fire and Security could help you guys with.
I shared with the members of the board 3 links that you had sent us previously. I don't know if any of you guys have had a chance to look at that, but that kind of gives a video of basically what Luke is talking about now as far as the card reader capability, how you set it up, the training that's available, and whatnot. So I think we'll open it up to the board for any questions that you guys want to have.
It's got remote access as well, something I didn't talk about, both the camera systems and the card access. And the access can, with the DMP access, we could also do security as well. You can remote arm it, disarm it. You could delete people, lock your doors down, unlock them, set the schedules from the phone, from a computer, tablet, all the new technology. It's up to date.
Does your company assist in getting the database of members updated into the format that you probably need in order for the card readers?
Most definitely, most definitely. I know you talked about it, you thought it was in an Excel file. Yeah, we can help out with that. If the first time we have to sit through and enter every person manually, we'll be here to assist and whatever we can for you. We set up a nice background for you guys, just go in and make it easier for you to do all the changes, setting schedules and all that good stuff.
And the card printers would be able to be accessed right from the office here?
Yep.
And so
You keep
walk
them
up
here.
people, you can just go ahead and get their card.
Yep, we have them to where you guys can print pictures on there. I don't know if you'll get it that deep, but factories like to do that, so they make sure everybody's who they say they are, just they're not John and they've got Fred's card, so.
Is this something that could be kind of like a phased implementation? Maybe we just start off with just member cards and then we open it up to arming the buildings or putting in gates?
Most definitely, yeah. We could definitely work this in phases. If you guys want to do the clubhouse first to start off, just to see how it goes, we could do that for you, and then move to the pool, to the activity center, then eventually move to the burn pile area and the boat ramp, because we do gates as well. We can install the gates. We just have to have power and stuff there, of course, but gates with card readers. We could do, even do 4-digit keypads. That can get kind of confusing, but
If we had a gate in a remote area, are you saying that we need to have power?
that would be the only thing. If you get us power there, everything else we can install and you guys will be able to control just like every other system around.
Are you saying to use wireless?
Yep. We'll put a cell unit on there, kind of like what they do with security systems. It's a cell unit that goes on there and it'll reach out over the local cell towers like a cell phone.
Could you use solar power as power going
Ooh,
to it?
that's a good question. Possibly, if it's strong enough, if it's powering the gate, but it'll have to be for a gate closure and all that as well too, so have to keep that in mind, if there's a gate there.
If there's a breakdown in any of these systems, and
you folks are contacted, what's your response time?
Oh, right away.
Response
We'll,
time.
we'll come out right away. We're a day out on service right now, but if it's an emergency, something that can't wait,
Well,
we
if
have
system-
on the call
What
guy.
would be your normal time if the system went down, what would be the normal response time?
It took me an hour to get here from the east side of Indianapolis. We're at 30th and Arlington, so unless if our tech, they're starting to give the on-call techs take-home vehicles, so if we have a tech in the area, the west side, it shouldn't take them that long to get here.
Would there be backup power available for the system?
Most definitely, and I'd say your regular backup time's like hour and a half. So power outage and then you're kind of over, but I don't think anybody'd be hanging around the pool or anything or the boat ramps or anything like that if the power went down. I guess that is true too.
So, assuming that we do a phased implementation of sorts, do you guys charge a monthly fee then for just regular service, or how does that work? I know installation is probably gonna be charged separately. How does
Yeah.
the rest of that work typically? I'm not asking for numbers.
No, you're all right. Yeah, we have the upfront install cost, and then we also have, since we'll host this system for you on our servers, so it gives you guys all the updates, all the new up-to-date stuff. There will be a monthly charge with that, and then we also offer just a preventative maintenance inspection plan. So we come out once a year, make sure everything's reading right, make sure the latches and the locks are all matching up, so there's no issues for you guys. Makes it smooth and easy for you guys to operate and run.
So does this require a separate computer, or will our computers be able to contact over the wire to your computers?
Yep, you guys will be able to do it, as long as you're connected to the internet. If your computer can connect to the internet, you can get into it. If you have access, of course, because it'll be up to you guys who you grant access, who's allowed to get in and out of the system.
Would we need like public static IPs and all sorts of stuff like that?
Correct.
And you guys are hosted on a cloud-based server, or would we have the box here?
It'd be the cloud-based, but you guys would still have the head-end panels here.
Any other questions?
Do we have a choice of cameras? I mean, as far as, my biggest concern is if we had cameras, I want to be able to read a plate.
We just have to put in the right type of camera to be able to do that, because that's getting a little bit more specific there. If you're looking for just a general view, oh, I see a car there, I can tell it's a Ford Mustang, something like that. We do that all the time, but if you're wanting more specific card reading, we have to put in the correct type of camera and focus it on where it's going to be pointed at.
Just money.
Yeah, basically, that's what it is.
Well, I guess my point is, you could,
You
anybody,
get to follow.
anybody could swipe their card to get in,
Mhm.
but we're not knowing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they got a truckload of things that they shouldn't be dumping, then we could easily get their plate and address it.
They could put a PTZ camera in that patrols, that goes back and forth
Mhm.
over an area, and then when you go to replay it back, you can zoom in.
That's
play
correct.
back all that stuff.
Yep.
PTZ, tilt.
Pan, tilt, zoom. Then your other type of cameras will just be your fixed cameras.
Like these.
Yep.
Any other questions, guys? Do you have contact information or a card or something?
Yep, I got a card up. Almost enough. Yep, say my cell phone, email. You're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. We'll be in
Thank you.
touch.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll get back to the normal agenda order of things. Announcements, Clear Creek Conservancy, Dwayne Kelly.
Wayne Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. I think it's pretty straightforward. Everybody knows that we're out of water. We're putting a new spillway in. I'm not sure exactly how many days right now, but the contractor right now is ahead of schedule. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him the last couple of days, but I don't know exactly how far he's ahead, but he's ahead of schedule right now.
Thank you, Dwayne. Boyd Township Fire Department, Roger Russ.
Just to update everybody on our tanker that we've ordered like 5 years ago, still haven't got. It's completed. They're going down next Monday, the chief and captain and a board member to do a final inspection. It'll go to the salesman's business up north. They'll do the final touches, and then it'll get decaled, and then we'll have it. So hopefully here in 3-4 weeks, we'll have our 4,000-gallon tanker. I'd like to publicly thank Shannon McCullough. He bought some property out off of 600, and he donated the building to the fire department for us to train and eventually burn. It's not only our fire department that'll get use out of this, but 2 counties at least will have opportunities to train in multiple scenarios in there. So I'd like to thank him for that. We've had 3 new members come on in the past couple of months. Matt White, Brian Church, and Lance Goldberry. Lance is a Brownsburg firefighter now, so he's completely trained, ready to go into service with us. So that would greatly benefit us. We've had 182 runs to date, which is ahead of normal. This Thursday, if you're on our Facebook page, we've got an open house for the public, community. We've got some people that'll be there. They're not sponsors, but they agreed to come and help with us. Firehouse Subs has offered to do the food for us at their cost, so the fire department's going to pay for that. Putnam County Hospital will be there serving popcorn. Curbside Clips is going to be there, hopefully bring some people in. And Canaan Church is going to help us. So if you've got nothing to do Thursday, 6 to 9, come out and meet and greet our people and get a sub.
Thank you, Roger. Neighborhood Watch, April Land. HLCS, Harold Payton.
Harold Payton, 189 Mill Springs. We're working on the phone directory for next year. Anybody that would like to advertise beyond what we've done in the past, just contact me, okay? And we'll have that completed, and everybody at the lake will get a copy delivered to their home. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Helnap, Jan Salee. POA Security, Tim.
I'd like to introduce Brian Hillman. He's a 6-year vet with Putnam County Sheriff's Department. Clay County? Clay County. Okay. Brian is going to take over our security out here. He's going to be able to spend a little bit more time than Jeff Freeman has been allowed to. He's got too many young kids that chewing up a lot of his time. But anyway, I'd just like to introduce Brian. I appreciate him stepping up doing that, and he'll be reading the report during our board meetings.
And there's been a couple break-ins. There's a new house, exit 66 in Heritage Drive. It's been burglarized twice. They haven't moved in yet, so there's been some burglaries going on. There was another garage door kicked in on the 27th of 336 Jefferson Valley. Nothing was taken, but there's burglars around, so keep an eye on your stuff. If you have some cameras, get them turned on because they're out and about. We're getting a lot of dog complaints. Just remember, there's a leash law, so have your dogs on leashes. There were some concerns at 227 Victory Hill who were an intoxicated subject. He was chasing down some cars. I had to talk with him, so gave him a disorderly conduct warning. He apologized and went into his home, and we didn't have any other issues for the rest of the night. So hopefully we learned from that experience. A few alarms. They've all been secure when we get there. There was a road rage incident that Mark Jack took care of. Someone just following too closely, so they slammed on the brakes, and you know how that goes. And then Freeman actually got a traffic stop on Heritage Drive that resulted in 17.2 grams of marijuana located. I think the canine was deployed. So I'm not gonna, when I come out, I'm gonna change my times around so the criminals don't know exactly when I'll be out. So I'll be out day shift, night shift. evening shift, so I'll be popping in all the time, so be glad to work for you.
If I could add one thing for viewers on YouTube, I've asked for this information before, and it would be extremely helpful. If they could call into the tip line, call the office, 111 is the tip line number. I'm the only one that's got access to it. I would love to be able to start a tally sheet of people that do have security cameras. It would be very helpful for break-ins such as that to be able to research and to be able to look on a map that maybe I would have and say, two doors down would have security cameras. Then we could go to that person and maybe if they would allow us to view the security cameras at certain times to be able to help identify that. I've asked for that information before and I've got very little response. And I know that there's people out here with security cameras that would sure help. So just a thought, if somebody could, if people that would have cameras in the area would step forward and let me know that information, it would help maybe solve some of these break-ins.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Before we get into the presentation of the agenda, Paul Forbes has some comments that he wants to make.
Most of you know who I am. It's been brought to my attention by one of the other board members that some of the comments I've made in the last few weeks concerning boat storage or people talking about boat storage was disrespectful, or your impression was that I was disrespecting any of your comments. I do not disrespect anything anybody has to say. You have your opinion, and I respect those opinions. You're part of the community that I'm representing, and therefore I do not disrespect anyone's ideas. I publicly apologize for anyone that took those the wrong way. And the last thing I would like to say is thanks for bringing it up. I wasn't aware of it. And I don't go on Facebook except with my family, so I apologize.
Thank you, Paul. Under formal business, presentation of agenda. Any additions or corrections to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second. All approved? Presentation of minutes, September 10th board meeting. Any additions or corrections? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. September 24th operations meeting. Any additions or corrections? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report, Jim Johnson.
Thanks, Chris. Our income last month was $84,863. Our expenses were $112,944, leaving a net income balance that was a negative $28,081. That's seasonally adjusted as normal, so we shouldn't be worried about that. In fact, over the next quarter, we should expect somewhere in the $85,000 to $90,000 deficit. It has nothing to do with any problem in what we're doing, except that our accounting accrues each month and our expenses are actually paid each month. So it's not anything to have any alarm about. Our total income year to date is $1,180,780. Our expenses are $1,049,578 with a net income presently of $131,202. As of September, our short-term cash position, that's basically what we have in savings and checking that we can get at real fast. It's $434,229. And our total amount of investments, and they include money market, CDs, and checking, is $687,851. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Moving on to board committee reports, A&E, Ben. I think Ben is in Florida, somewhere cooler than here. Is anybody else present from the A&E committee that wants to?
I can take that.
Thanks.
We had very few approvals the other night. Actually, we had one approval and one not approved. There's a conflict with some of the written rules, and we are at this time going through those conflicts. And hopefully by the next A&E committee meeting, we will search those out. Most of them have to do with boat lifts and or docks for those who do not have homes on the lots. There's a conflict of what's right and what's wrong, so we're going to address that at the next A&E committee and hopefully have something to present to the board next month.
So changing the rules to
Mhm.
eliminate the conflict. Thank you, Paul. Campgrounds in East Hawken?
I'll take that.
Thank you, Kevin.
I'll read what I got here. Pretty quiet, excuse me, pretty quiet, relaxing month in September seemed to be had by all. Labor Day weekend was a good time with pitch-in dinner and a DJ. Our biggest function for the season came in on October the 6th with the little trick-or-treaters everywhere in the community of the campers from corner to corner to enjoy the kids' party, hayride, hog roast, pitch-in dinner, and a fantastic band, which is the Secret Riches. Shouts go out to everyone who donated their time and money to make this the best event of the season, most of all to Kathy and Jim Clemens and Jeff and Christine McCoy. Could not have done it without you. Could not have done it without you. That helped all the fun. Happy holidays. See you in 2019. That was signed by the Campus Village Committee, Gary Martin, President.
Thank you.
Just as information, they have had their election. I'll just throw it out for what it's worth. It seems like the same gang is still there, which is Gary Martin, President, Jeff Ford, Vice President, Denise Hawkins, Secretary, and Bill Lampert, Treasurer.
Thank you.
And this is the last meeting. Report
Last one
was
for the
it
year.
just closed.
Okay.
I think it's what, like the 28th or something like that. That'll be the last camper. So I think the next meeting is, I'm only guessing this is going to be sometime in January. I'm going to bring everybody back in. But I'll get it to you for that.
Thank you. Cleanup committee. I've got the cleanup committee report unless someone else wants to read it. It's really long.
I have an addition to it, but yeah, Jeff writes a lot.
It's a lot of thank yous, so.
Let's get through something.
All right, I'm going to get through this on Jeff Blake's behalf. The cleanup committee is proud to announce that the 2018 Fall Garage Sale and Fall Clean Sweep events were a huge success. By the end of the day, Heritage Lake residents filled up 3 large dumpsters of unwanted trash and debris. We'd like to thank all the volunteers that came out to help with the work. Thank you all for your support. Cleanup committee will hold the final meeting of the year this Wednesday, 10/10, at 7 o'clock in the clubhouse conference room. All residents are invited to attend. As is customary every year, the committee will select its officers for 2019. Additional business will include the drive for new membership. To help attract new membership, the cleanup committee changed its meeting time from the second Monday at 9 a.m. to the second Wednesday at 7 p.m. Additionally, the last email broadcast requesting more help was successful in gathering more interest. We will submit more invitations via emails in the Heritage Lake highlights in early 2019. Cleanup committee still needs help cleaning or collecting aluminum cans. Empty aluminum cans can fund the clean sweep activities. We ask the Heritage Lake residents collect and deposit empty aluminum cans in a trash bag of only aluminum cans, nothing else. You may deposit them in the designated container at the maintenance building. We would like to acknowledge Ken Roselle and all of his staff for their tremendous support. Whenever we need help, they are always there. We value our close relationship with each and every one of the professionals who keep our community strong and enjoyable. Finally, thanks to all Heritage Lake residents who support our efforts in the garage sales, clean sweeps, and other events. Thanks to all the Heritage Lake residents whose daily efforts keep our neighborhoods safe, clean, and healthy. complying with our HLPOA private property rules, disposing of trash and debris properly, using the yard waste area, keeping leaves, trash, and other debris out of the lake, and recycling aluminum cans are some of the efforts that will help keep our land, water, and other resources safe, clean, and healthy. Continued effort by all Heritage Lake residents results in a Heritage Lake community preserving its natural beauty. Jeff Blakes. Anything else? Did I miss something?
I'll just add the 3 dumpsters we had. I got the raised bill today, so it was 11 tons of trash that we threw away. And our bill was $920.
Wow, that's
For
really
3
good.
dumpsters.
You know, talking about the aluminum cans, I know that a lot of people use the recycle bin and it fills up really quickly. We could start maybe keeping the aluminum cans out of there and putting them in the aluminum can bin. I think there'll maybe be a little bit more room for other type of recyclables that don't benefit this community directly, so something to consider.
Some of the we added was thanks to Jeff Brooks and Don Allen. You guys cleaned out that big pile of, and Jenny, that big pile of debris that shouldn't be burnt that was left there, so thanks for doing that. I asked him to put it in the dumpster, so.
We got permission.
And she threw as much lumber as I did.
All right, government committee. No report. Lake committee, saw Ken Oops here.
Ken, 150 Gettysburg, to the Lake Committee. First and foremost, a big thank you for the board, POA members, and York Automotive Group. A few months ago this summer, we had our annual Feast and Ski event. We basically, the committee gained $8,000 into our budget for 2019, and we've already allotted the majority of that to be spent, which I'll review. It's under new business. We have 2 more meetings left, so we're going to try to capitalize on that number and get some things back to the lake. We are currently working on the 2019 rules. If those of you who see something in the book that you want to have addressed, our job as Lake Committee is to supply changes and new rules to the board for their review. We're in the process of doing that. We'll be supplying them in the next 2 months with those rule recommendations. So if you know somebody who's on the Lake Committee, or if you want to address an issue in the voting rules for Heritage Lake, if you feel there's something that needs to be addressed from a safety standpoint, feel free to reach out myself. My name's in the book. Leave a message if I don't answer, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. In regards to some things that we're trying to accomplish initially while the lake's down, we had assumed, and we assumed wrong, that we had approval to do some fish habitat benefit to the lake. Our committee with the Bass Club, and I want to recognize Robin Alexander in the front row, took it upon ourselves to kind of generate some natural habitat, man-made habitat for the fishery. As many have seen, as the water's drawn down the south end of the lake, the north end of the lake, there's not a whole lot of structure remaining on the bottom. In the past, we've had Christmas tree sinkings. We've collected 300 Christmas trees, put cinder blocks to them, and buried them in the lake on top of the ice. Those have all kind of deteriorated over time. It's a soft wood. It doesn't necessarily stay. I think it's about one to 2 seasons, is my understanding, where the fish can actually benefit from it. After that, it starts to deteriorate. So our committee is looking for ways to increase the, for those of you who don't know, we stock the lake with predator fish. The Lake Committee has sponsored, and with harmony with the POA, we have put fish in this lake to try to combat the snails, along with the gizzard shad that we have here at the lake. In doing so, we've spent in excess of $20,000 in stocking fish from our committee in an attempt to rid ourselves of those issues. That money and that spending, we don't want to see that. We bought fish that can reproduce. We bought fish that can spawn. So we are trying to find areas where they can spawn and give them some natural structure or some man-made structure. So we are asking the board, because anything that gets put in Heritage Lake has to be approved by the POA Board of Directors or the lake manager. We have met with Ken, and we are looking, I'll give you some guidelines as to what we're doing. I'm trying to stream the funnel down a little bit here, but we're looking to do nothing from a structure standpoint, man-made or natural, at a depth of less than 10 feet of depth in the main body of the lake, meaning outside of the east fork and the north end, we're looking for something in excess of 10 feet to put the structure down. We don't want it to go to 25 feet because the fish don't have the oxygen to survive at those depths, so it really doesn't benefit us. So we're trying to find that 10 to 15 foot range where we're below the water. If you jump in, if you're swimming, if you're skiing or boating or tubing, typically a boat drafts about 3 foot of water. We're trying to get it down about 10 foot to 12 foot. So therefore, if you're jumping off your boat, if you're swimming with your kids, you're wearing a life jacket, or you're not wearing a life jacket, you know, we're trying to make it basically the deep end of a swimming pool, something more than 10 feet. So that's what we're asking for in the main body of the lake. Those structures will be basically, we're trying to build them out of what would be PEX tubing for water. You can make them look like a tree branch, put a weight on the bottom, and it gives them some kind of structure. We're also looking at PVC cages, things to allow the predator fish not to be able to get into the spawned fish, so they have some protection, along with what we would think would be weeds and things like that along the shore. And then in the north end and the east fork, we're looking at things no larger than 18 inches. A foot and a half is what we're looking for. So we have 16 foot of water here in the east fork, where the stream runs. Those areas would have no more than 18 inches of structure along the bottom. Again, trying to get ourselves away from any hazard that might occur. So we're also looking at summer pool levels. If those of you who know the drought from several years ago, the water was down about 18 inches, so we would have, hopefully at that point, we'd have 4 foot of water. We'd still be down below the prop and the water line for the runabouts. We're also looking for no closer to shore than the idle buoys. So we're looking at a 75 foot, so it wouldn't affect anybody's docks. The docks are structured themselves that the fish like to hang around, so we're trying to give fishermen the opportunity to fish away from docks. If we put structure out in the middle of the lake, we're trying to attract those fishermen to go fish in the middle of the lake, versus there's been some complaints in the past where people are laying out on their dock and a fisherman comes up and starts flipping the bait under the dock, and the people are kind of, hey, you know, I'm just kind of enjoying my family. On a side note, the fisherman will tell you, if you want to get rid of the fisherman, just put kids in the water. That'll get rid of them real quick. Fish are gone, and so are the fishermen. So we're looking for an approval at this point. Our time is a bit limited with our members of our committee. We do have some volunteers that are wanting to pursue this. Again, it doesn't require a motion. It doesn't require, it's just an approval. It's something to benefit the fishery. It's something for the health of the fish that we all have stocked and put in here to try to increase the spawning capabilities and the return on that spawn, so we don't lose so many fish. So we're looking for that approval from the board. We're looking at the 18-inch rule would not apply to areas of common property that are not used for habitat or for recreation. So no beaches. We're not going to do anything at the beaches. We're not going to do anything at the boat docks, the community boat docks. We're looking at coming around the corner over here where there's nothing, where there's some trees laying in the water, just adding to that. And one of the conversations we had was, from the fisherman's standpoint, is one of the best things as a natural fish habitat would be a tree. I know there's going to be some work going on in the north end of the lake to get rid of some trees that are starting to due to erosion, are starting to work their way towards the water. From a safety standpoint, I know that you all are going to be making a decision at some point to top those or to get rid of those. We would like to be able to benefit from those and put those into the deeper part of the lakes, anchor them down, secure them to the bottom, and get them waterlogged so they're not going to float back up, and give the fish that opportunity to have that kind of habitat, which wouldn't cost us anything at this point.
Kent, is there any benefit, or is it impractical to map out where these structures are going to be in the lake, so we have reference for later?
Yes, we're working on that. We thought we had a topographical map of Heritage Lake, which we are unable to find. We're going to have to go to Plan B for that. So our plan is to give an idea to the board. At this point, we don't have an approval to do it, so we didn't really want to use all our time to try to come up with a plan when we don't really have
no, that's
approval.
fine.
So we're looking at anywhere from riprap in the middle of the lake, a pile of riprap, which is gonna go away and, you know, it's gonna settle into the silt or the erosion area. It's gonna settle in at some point, just like it does on shore. You gotta replace it every few years. It doesn't maintain its integrity. But something as simple as a pile of rocks on the bottom of a deep part of the lake would assist us with getting some protection for the fish, which would certainly not hurt anybody. So, yes, it's our plan is to give you a map, but our plan is also to kind of decipher whether we can even proceed. And if we can proceed, we need to come up with a budget number from our committee to try to come up with how much we can do for the cost that we're willing to spend. Any other questions related to that? I brought Robin here so that he could, you know, if you want to bounce some things off it. He's our Bass Club president and certainly has been the tip of the arrow when it comes to trying to generate this opportunity to help the fishery and the health of the Heritage Lake. Moving on.
Tom, did you have a question?
Yes, can we go ahead and, you know, just give him approval so he works in conjunction with Ken Rozelle in locating these areas so they can proceed?
Approval to what?
Approval to work with Ken Rozelle in placement and structure of these fish habitats.
Didn't you say you were having difficulty getting started in this because you didn't have board approval?
We need board approval or the POA manager is the way the rule is written. Anything that goes into the lake has to be approved by the POA board of directors or the lake manager.
So to study that requires the lake manager or the board to approve it?
We've studied it. We know that it's a benefit to the lake. We just don't have approval to put anything in the lake. And what I think Tom is asking is, to proceed, can we have a map of where you're going to put these items so we know how deep it's going to be?
Are we asking for funding?
No. No.
Okay, just trying to figure out what we're asking for.
No, just asking for approval to get this process going, because I don't want to take the Bass Club. I mean, we got 16 guys ready to go and to assist, and
okay.
I can't give them the okay when I don't have it.
And they would be doing it now while the lake is lowered. That would be the intention.
I like this plan.
Like it?
Is that the intention, Ken, to do it now?
Yes.
While it's down.
Which would require another board approval that we can get to because the lake is closed.
Because you need to be able to get a boat out there to be able to do it. It's getting tricky now.
Can the fishermen fish while they're doing it?
So what we need is some sort of a motion to allow them to do this, or do we need to
Well,
discuss this, or what?
I think we probably want to get it on the agenda as a formal item to
It doesn't
officially vote on it.
If I might be frank, it doesn't really require.
Can it wait a month?
Doesn't need motion.
Yeah,
Hold on a second.
Well, so either wait a month for the board, or it goes to the property manager.
And just, yeah.
Doesn't wait a month, so I mean.
I think if we wait a month, it may be too late.
We're pushing that towards.
It'll be cold.
Yeah.
Our concern is if Mr. Kelly here has said that they're ahead of schedule, and all of a sudden they decide that, hey, we got some high rains and we can't rent the siphons anymore to go, and now we're kind of back where we can't place it where we want to place it if we're in 20-foot of water. We can kind of direct a little more if we're in 10-foot of water or 12-foot of water.
I'll take a motion.
I'll motion we empower the property manager to work with him to do whatever they need to do.
I second.
All in favor?
If there's any concern, I'll bring it back. No, you're on.
Before we get to voting on any more issues, I just want everybody to know that I'm carrying Charlie's proxy for tonight as well, so that's an addition. Okay, sorry.
Okay, secondly, we had a request from the board, or the lake manager, I don't know if it came from the board, to assist in replacement buoys, which we have done in the past as a lake committee. Over $10,000 has been purchased of lake buoys in the past from the lake committee. We are on par. We can't make your number, but we are going to contribute from a committee standpoint. It looks like next month we'll have our second vote. So we will be contributing to the funds for new replacement buoys out of the lake. Ken had asked for 3,000. We can't do that, Ken. We just
3,000 buoys. I asked for 60. I asked for 60, but I'll take 50.
So, the other thing we're gonna do.
With solar lights on top.
The other thing we're gonna do is the lake committee has taken it upon themselves to try a pilot effort with solar lights on top of the high traffic buoys out at the lake. There is a marine lamp that is rather expensive, but it's solar powered, it's waterproof, it's impact resistant. But it will be a dull red or green is the color scheme of what they offer. We're thinking from the standpoint of least amount of impact on the shore and property owners, maybe a dull red, possibly. We don't want to get it confused with a boat light. They do offer white. So we're going to, with your approval, with some of these buoys, we're going to order them just to try it as a pilot. If it doesn't work, we can pull them off. It's an install and an uninstall, but it's a way to try to keep the damage down on some of these buoys that tend to get, particularly going to the north end out here on the point. That one gets hit at least once a week. The one coming around to the south towards the marina is always in damage. I mean, it's always just a maintenance thing. So we're going to try to do something. We can't think of any other solution. We thought about reflective tape, but it won't stay lit during the evening hours. And I don't know that a boat's light is going to be enough to allow it to get your attention. So we're just working on that. I wanted to pass that along to you. Our fish stocking recommendation for the 2019 should be in your hands in the next 2 months prior to our leave for the winter. So you'll be seeing that coming forward. Again, it's predator fish, not recreation fish. It's all predator fish for the health of the fishery. And I wanted to say, I wanted to give a little note for the clean water team. They're now working in concert with the lake committee. Mr. Phil McKinley's not here tonight, but I can tell you that we are on the same page and we're working together. And we may try to reach out to the siltation committee as well to try to tie in some of the things that overlap from a committee standpoint from the lake committee, the clean water team, and the siltation to try to make this all in concert to give you a little bit more focused picture as to what each committee is trying to accomplish and how we're going to get there. So that's all I have. Oh, I'm sorry. The E. coli, did you guys get the report on the E. coli? E. coli test that happened? We were well below the Indiana required minimum by I think 70%, lower than what they say is acceptable, whereas Geist Reservoir was 300% higher than the thing, and to the point where they said anyone that gets in Geist Reservoir, they recommend taking a shower immediately. So Heritage Lake's doing pretty good. Any questions?
Thank you, Ken.
All right, thank you.
As Ken said, Phil McKinley is not here for the clean water report, but I appreciate your coverage of some of that topic, Ken. Long-range planning, we have no committee chair, no report. Siltation, Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Baker's Landing. Our committee won't meet again until March unless something comes up that I need to call a committee meeting. We still got 2 projects in the wind, finishing up our year's contract with Shannon, and that is working on the north end from the dam at the North Silt Basin out as far as you can come toward the lake with the amount of money we've got, and also cleaning out the East Fork Silt Basin. He's going to try to get those 2 projects with us when he gets done with the big project down south.
Thank you, Dwayne. HLEPT, Mary Ann Novak, I believe, is reading for EPT in John Deegan's place.
Mary Ann Novak, 25 Mill Springs. We had a meeting last week, and we had a somewhat of a presence at the Feast and Ski. There was a volunteer table that Donna McKinley womaned the booth, the tables, and she talked to a lot of people. The sheets that were submitted by the different committees and clubs are on the table here and have been since that time in August. So we're always looking for volunteers. Everybody's looking for volunteers. Please take one. And I think that was a very successful way to meet and greet people, because we talked to a lot of people there. At last month's meeting, board member Tom Novak asked about the CEMP report from Dave Costin. And Dave's, and this is a quote from him, he said that we have a copy on site, but we do not publish it or post it, so we are not able to get it to the board or put it on our website. Well, I think there's some sensitive information in there. That's why emergency management doesn't want to let everybody know about it. And then the last thing is that we have, our next meeting is November the 7th. We meet the first Wednesday of the month in the room behind us here from 7 to 8:30. And everybody's welcome. Even if you don't want to join, if you want to just see what we're all about, please come on out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Managers report, Ken Roselle.
All right, as of today, our pool has been tucked away for the winter. It's been winterized by Pettit Pool out of Crawfordsville. Each of the last 2 years, the summer attendance has been well over the previous year's usage. I'd like to thank Mary Land and her staff for doing a great job running the pool. By the end of this month, all the outside restroom facilities, including the marina, will be winterized and closed for the winter. October 28th will be the last day for the campground being opened, and we'll begin winterizing all the lines and the bathhouse immediately after closing. The trick-or-treat hours for this year, as some of you may know, I sent out an email, is on Halloween from 6 to 8 p.m. I ask you to please use caution and reduce your speed and allow the kids to have a fun and safe evening. 54 property violation letters have been sent out year to date, with 49 resolved. 2 of those 5 not in compliance is working towards completion of their violations. And finally, this is something the office that we decided we were going to do this year. On November 11th is Veterans Day. My office, Deborah, April, and myself would like to honor the veterans of Heritage Lake by serving you breakfast on Friday morning, November 9th, from 8 to 10 a.m. So if you have served for our country in your honor, please allow us to serve you sausage and pancakes and/or sausage, gravy, and biscuits, or both. We'd be honored to serve you. Thank you.
What's the hours again?
8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
Old business forum, electronic voting, Jim Johnson.
Yeah, I've got the contract of the vendor in my in-basket. Who should sign that? Should you sign that?
I'm sorry, what was it?
The contract from the vendor for the electronic
voting.
Yeah, I can sign.
Okay, well, I'll get that to you. Price has gone up in our, in between about $150, so it's not a huge deal. I did pick up something interesting in the Corson security presentation where it might have some synergy because they're willing to help do some entry of data into the Excel, which could save us all some time. So maybe we could coordinate these two things together somehow and have them do that legwork. And then, anyway, just for whatever it's worth. But we're ready to go.
I believe this already passed the first vote.
Ooh, do we need another?
I think we needed 2, so this is an opportunity, I think, to get the second vote.
I think that's why it was on roll business.
I motion we take the second vote and approve the electronic voting initiative.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tom was not. I didn't know Tom stepped out.
What was the vote?
Very stealth.
Unanimous.
7, 8, 8, 0.
0 present.
Yeah.
For Tom.
Okay.
All eyes on Tom.
We'll give it.
There he is, there he is.
Sorry, I didn't see you step out of the room. We just took the motion to proceed again for the second vote for the electronic voting. We took a vote.
can't give you the results.
How do you vote?
I'm
How
not
do you
gonna
vote
try to
there,
sway
Tom?
you.
Yes.
Okay. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Have we started?
No, we gotta get him to sign the contract now. It's not his fault, it's in my investment.
Okay.
New business A, boat storage, Paul Forbes.
Yeah, we are currently looking at other location possibilities, and we are reviewing some future funding possibilities. Our goal is to come up with a funding situation that would fund the project up front before we even open it. So with those two things in mind, I'd like to make a motion to table the boat storage at this time until future possibilities can be given to the board.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, Paul. Thank you for the work that you've done on this project. Boy Scout Walking Trail Project, new business B. I guess I'll speak to that. We talked about the nature path that's being worked on by the Eagle Scout on the north end of the lake in the nature preserve. This is something that will only require one vote. The work has already informally started. We're just looking for board approval now to make it official, put it in the books. It's just a walking trail. There are no structures there, nothing else. So that, if you want to have a discussion about it, or I'll accept a motion.
He was the one that came into the ops meeting.
Yes.
Right.
Are there any questions or discussion?
I motion we approve the Boy Scout Walking Trail project.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Child care during board meetings. I spoke at the ops meeting. Carrie Boland had expressed interest in pursuing the option to have a little bit of a child care area, perhaps downstairs, perhaps the activity center. She was supposed to be here at this meeting to talk about it a little bit more, but her daughter had a softball game, and she didn't expect her to win, but they won, so now they got to play ball. So. Oh, this is live, sorry. So I think we're going to have to table this until the November meeting. Bark Park, proposal to proceed. There's been some work done by a group in the community that are proposing that we explore options for a bark park. There was a presence of that group in the 5K Fun Run Day. They seem to be very active, energetic. They've got a lot of good ideas, I think, but they've not gotten any formal approval to proceed, which is, I believe, what they're asking for now. They don't have a specific plan or money, I don't think, defined, but
They have $1,200.
they have $1,200, so they want to do something with it. As far as location, things like that, that's not been formally decided or approved either, but I think what they're looking for is approval to proceed, so. I think I'm open to taking a motion for them to either proceed or.
I'd like to make a motion that we table that till we hear from them exactly what they want to do.
Well, I think they're a little hesitant to do more than they've already done without our approval to at least go and do more research, figure out what they want to do, where they want to do it, how much they have.
They want to know if they can even think about doing it. That's
We're not
what they're
approving their project. We're not approving anything except their ability to continue the work that they're doing to get their research. That's
what
those
they
are
don't
options
know.
on the table that
They want to know, is this a feasible option that we might want to think about in the future? And do they want to put any legwork in doing this? Will we even think about it?
Will we consider it when it comes time?
They will have to come to the board with a formal proposal for approval. Right now, we're just approving them to pursue the
They're
option.
basically making a small committee or group, essentially.
Who is that? Who is they? Who is them?
Cindy Huddleston is part of it.
Cindy Huddleston, what's her name? Patty Bosquick, me and Charlie.
So you've met with them?
Yes.
What's your impression from the
My
meeting?
impression, there's a lot of interest, and the interest, I think they showed that they had some interest in it by raising $1,200 on their own just for that one day. So at this point, we're just asking for permission to proceed with different areas, different options. There's all kinds of, Charlie has put together something like this before with the parks that he worked at. There's a lot of different options, whether it's what kind of, we want to come back with locations, heights of fence, whether it's something that's going to be free to the public, or I mean, to the community, or whether it's going to be something that's going to be a charge for your dogs. So there's just a lot of different options that's going to have to be looked at before we go there. We want to make sure that it's okay with the board to proceed with it, to come back with all those, with a plan.
So we're just okay with the plan for them to come out?
Will the plan include one or more locations?
Oh, absolutely.
And when they present the proposal, we'll have the opportunity to ask questions and get any other information that they didn't include that we wanted. This isn't voting for them to have a dog park, it's voting.
This is like
to
3
allow them to do
stages.
Yeah, to do the research behind it that will hopefully produce a few different options or costs. So,
Well, I make a motion to proceed with putting their proposal together and begin this long, fun journey they're gonna have of figuring all this out.
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion to proceed. Marina construction, Jim Johnson.
Oh, boy. We've had a committee meet on this project several times. There were 7, 8 people in the committee. A significant number of great ideas were proposed. A contractor has been selected to do the work. It's going to be in a design build type format where they're going to provide us with design ideas as well as actually complete the project. We've got a limited budget. I think it's $360,000. So we're not going to be able to do everything we want. But we are proposing to do some revenue enhancements between now and the time when, I'll get to that in a second, between now and when we start this. There's going to be multiple public meetings where we're going to be showing designs to the public and the plans that we have for the project going forward step by step. It's going to begin late in the fall of 2019, and completion will be at the end of spring of 2020. So we're going to have a whole lot of things going on with this project. We'll be distributing to the public, probably either through Harold's Oregon and the website, the different ideas that were bubbled up, and maybe even give people opportunity to comment on that, because there's a lot of different great ideas. So we're getting ready to go. We're going to be starting next month in terms of the basic thrust, and then step by step we're going to sneak up on this, and we're going to have a nice new marina. Questions?
So what are you looking for tonight?
Happiness.
Okay.
Are we looking for something?
Well, it's under new business, so are you looking for any approvals?
Yeah, Kim, why don't you explain that contracting solicitation method and what happened?
Guys, please.
Well, we sent out to request for a proposal to 5 different companies, contracting companies. We got one response that was within the time frame that we allotted them, with Brent Construction Company. We never heard anything from the other 4. I reached out to them just to make sure, A, they got their information, B, are they interested. 3 out of the 4 I heard back from wasn't interested, so. So we got the one company that, these residents, this company, they are residents here at the lake. And they put together a very nice proposal.
I make a motion to accept the proposal from Brand Construction.
A second.
All in favor?
Are you asking for any money?
We are. So the initial downstroke, what is it?
Have we
$25,000.
seen this?
It was.
Yeah, it was distributed at the last meeting.
This was all
It wasn't
emailed to
there.
everybody, and then it was also, hard copy was handed out to,
Was it the ops
At
meeting?
It was the ops meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the budget meeting when they handed it
Oh,
out.
it was
to
at the budget meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's other meeting there. That kid, that pesky kid, gotta take care of her job. Sorry.
we've all been.
So we have a
Can I
motion.
abstain from voting, because I haven't read any of this. Sorry.
So the motion right now is to proceed with this?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do two of these.
Two votes.
We're gonna do two
Require
votes.
two
I have to do 2 votes.
So the motion is to proceed with pre-construction services that would be offered by this Brandt
Brandt.
Construction Company, not to exceed $25,000.
Yeah, no, presumably that includes tax. I
For a
don't,
service.
a maximum of $25,000 plus tax. How's that? Just in case, 'cause I don't know whether that included tax.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I just abstain, I just not vote, because I don't have enough information.
You don't have to vote.
No, you have to vote.
Okay, I'm not voting.
But
I'm not gonna say yes or no, because I haven't read it, so I
Yes.
can't
One no vote.
say yes or no. Sorry.
actually, here was your 2 copies.
Oh, well,
Wait, give it to us after the vote?
Wow, after the vote, here you go, guys. Say yes.
These were ready for you at Thursday night.
So, last item on the agenda is the 2019 budget approval. The board met on Thursday evening for a few hours to go over the budget line item by line item. You have it in front of you. Is there any discussion you guys want to have, or did we talk it to death the other night?
This takes 2 votes.
Yes, this will take 2 votes as well. If there's no discussion or questions, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Elio, sorry,
I'll make a motion to approve the budget that we just went over.
do I have a second? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. We've reached the open forum. Please, no screaming, no yelling. Everybody can have the turn. No bad language. Please just raise your hand, state your name, your lot number, and your compliments after that. So, right here in the front.
Craig Hinshaw, 161 Mill Spring. I'm the owner of the Heritage Lake Boat Facility. I know you tabled this temporarily for the storage facility. I was here tonight to request that that discussion be tabled until after the election. I have had over 200 of our members bring their boats through my facility in the last 6 weeks. Not a single member is in favor of this that is coming through my facility. There's an election coming up, and it's going to be an election issue to these people that are making these decisions. I would ask that any decision that's made be tabled until after the election. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken?
Ken Hoops, 150 Gettysburg. I have not obviously been privy to your budget discussions. However, I would like to include the board on some recommendations from a financial standpoint. The Lincoln Hills Park and the Lincoln Hills playground structures are pretty much in disarray. if any of you have had a chance to go down there and look at some of the slide would no longer be built at any school in any state. The merry-go-round is about as decrepit as you could get. So if there is some funding for that type of scenario in your 2019 budget, thank you very much. If there is not, please consider taking the drive and walking down there and taking a look at the beach and the amenities that some people would like to use but cannot use due to the safety of those areas. Thank you.
Yes. That's Debbie Allen, Mill Springs 355. Couple things. One, I had mentioned, this has been back a couple of years ago, about making the areas that we've got for the people to use, like over by the Little Lake off of Heritage Drive, making it more usable for people in terms of a shelter house. There was one there, it rotted, fell down, it never got replaced. Is anything in the plans, like with the budgeting and all, for any of those amenities to be upgraded or added to make them more usable for people who just want to go picnic, want to go fish in the lake?
I don't know that there's any specific line item for that, but I think there's a line item for general maintenance and.
Do you know what the location is of that?
It's the lake over off of Gettysburg, off of Heritage Drive. You know what I'm talking, if you go around
Talking about
Heritage
the
Drive.
pond?
What's that?
You're talking about a pond?
Yeah.
Oh,
Washington.
Yeah, there's like,
Washington
there was a
Pond.
park there,
Oh,
and they had,
Washington.
you know, parking there, had gravel driveway in there, it was a real nice little shelter house. And I actually would see families go there with their kids, and they could, you know, cook out, and they'd go mess around in the lake and so forth, and that's been gone for a number of years, because it just rotted.
Ken, you know where this is?
I do know where it is. There was for years, there was a shelter there. The driveway was actually constructed on somebody else's property. That property has been purchased and a home built on it, so we had to relocate the driveway. My opinion, where the concrete slab is, I think it wouldn't be a neighborly thing to do to put one right there because it's really close to their house.
No, this isn't where I'm talking about then.
It's the only one that.
There's a map over here.
Yeah.
Is that your one?
I'm not sure where you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's the only one
Only the map
that,
that
that's the only one that has a concrete slab that is not, I don't know when it was taken down, but it's not there any longer.
Yeah, no, it rotted and fell apart.
Okay, well, that's what I'm talking
I was
about.
told a couple of years back that this board was going to replace that, and it was actually in the budget to be done.
Well, is it possible, I'd be more than happy to meet with you if you and I could go over there so we could identify exactly the area that you're talking about?
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, it's great to be spending the money on the marina, and things are extremely important. But we've got a lot of, like, little niche areas that people will use if there's something there to go use. And I just feel like we're not taking care of those areas that possibly could be more of a public, you know, space for people to congregate and do things together.
How about after the meeting, I'll give you my home phone number and you could call me and arrange a time that's convenient for you, and I could meet with you and we could go over there.
Okay.
And identify, so we know the area you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. The other thing I wanted to know is kind of where do we stand with the covenant change? Any more discussion about where it's
There
going?
has been a little bit of work since the last effort. It is something that is going to be resurrected. We're going to approach it again in 2019. I think we paused it for the time being, but it is something that we're going to go back and work again. There has been some work, like I said, to kind of change some of the approach, I think.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Working on electronic voting to try to define what options we may have with that to help get us the number of votes returned that we need to make all that effort worthwhile. That's really been backbreaking work, and it's really not gotten us the results that we needed to have in order to proceed. So
Well,
It's-
on that, would there be a way, and I'd be happy to help, and I think a lot of people would, making some phone calls?
Absolutely, we'll take all the help we can get
I mean,
when,
really.
when we're ready to
Yes.
go forward and actually
Yeah, because
start.
you have to, I think in this case, you have to go to the people that are not voting, that don't live here, you know, don't ever come out here, and present the issue and how it's going to help them. It has to be, I think, because it's gonna just blow off whatever comes to them.
I think this board is in total agreement with, that we need help. We need people in the community that can help us get that message out, help explain what the issues really are. Not try to sway somebody's vote one way or the other, but to at least give them the information that they can use to make a decision based on the facts, not on people's opinions or, you know, things get out of control pretty quickly, but if we can just help explain what the issues actually are that people are voting on, that will be really helpful. So stay tuned, we will be talking about that a lot more in the coming months.
And Debbie, we've had extensive discussions on different ways to approach our public, and that is one of them that we're going to try to do. Having meetings at people's homes, having people get together and ask questions and this and that. So it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting. We've already been in contact with our legal support in terms of development of ballots, clarity of statements, so everybody will understand what it is we're doing, and hopefully not make some of the mistakes that we made last time.
Yeah, I think people have just kind of gotten forgetting things. They just don't even look at it. And if they're not out here, they're not coming to the meetings or getting involved, so.
We've worked really, really hard to try to get the message out, and it hasn't been working the way we've been doing it, so we have to look at different methods. So, again, we appreciate you willing to step up, and hopefully there'll be a lot more behind you that.
Yeah, well, the more people, then that fewer amount that you contact, you know, that becomes such a hardship.
Yeah, appreciate
Right,
that. Thank you very
thanks.
much. Anybody else? The back?
Yeah, Terry Newkirk, 139 Patriots Landing. I know you tabled the proposal for the boat storage, but Paul, at one of the meetings, had said to all of us, they said, he said, don't come and just tell us you don't want it. Bring some proof with you, or bring whatever with you. So I took it upon myself to talk to two different boat storage owners, and they thought your proposal was way, way out of line, way too high. They said most of, well, one of them said that the most he ever gets on his boat storage is half full. So I took it upon myself to draw up a proposal and show you what I got one for each member there. And I do have, my wife has more in the back there. If you guys would like one, please take one.
Thank you.
But at least look at both sides of it before we decide on this.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes?
Don Beers, 288 Mill Springs. Question for you. I know you're trying, this is a mini barn issue, and I've been out of town for a while, so I'm not quite.
Nothing's changed probably since you were
Well,
gone.
probably not, but on the mini barn issue, you're still looking into trying to get that changed so people can have mini barns. Am I correct?
What the issue is mini barns are explicitly ruled out in our current covenants. The way to change that is to be able to change the covenants to allow them, or at least define what would be allowable as far as restrictions,
Right.
dimensions, things like that.
All right, so they're not allowed, so, but obviously you're not gonna make the people, or over 60 mini barns, take theirs down, am I right?
Well, they will.
I don't know the strategy behind that or what the plan is behind that.
Well, in the meantime, until you make those people down, take those down, wouldn't it be a good idea to be fair to all members, to let anybody that wants to put a mini barn up, have one up, and then when you enforce them to take them back down, well, then they can take them back down.
We can't approve of anything that's against.
But you're not going to enforce it though, right?
We won't.
So you're not going to enforce though people that have many barns to take them
Don't
down?
answer that. Don, we can't answer a question like that. I understand your purpose in asking it. That's good. God bless America.
That's why, Jim.
That's good.
Just if I might interject.
Pull it up and then worry about it later.
If I might interject, I don't know if Ken Roselle wants to be brought into this, but there was an individual who put up, quote unquote, a storage shed, and that individual didn't know the rules. Ken Roselle did approach that individual. That individual agreed to take down the storage shed, so.
Yeah, I remember that issue, is the one where the storage shed looked like their house.
I don't remember,
that was-
I don't
that-
think it,
No, it was that military.
no, I think it's
Well, there was
something,
one that
it was something
person did
different,
that.
something different, but all I'm saying is, yes, if the property manager does see those types of activities happening, he will approach them and make them aware of what currently our position is.
So he's going to approach them and tell the ones that have mini bars that they're not legal, and they should take them down.
Don, the way I look at it is, I'm not gonna fight a battle that is allowed to happen previous to me. I will fight that battle if it's done while I'm here. If you would like for me to fight that battle, how much money do you want our POA to spend right now?
I don't want.
Because
right, it costs me
I've had that
anything, so I'm
conversation
not
with
gonna
our
push it.
attorney, and he said, just pick it. Just pick it. So, that's the only thing I can tell you, is that what has happened prior to me, I'm not gonna fight that battle, but I will fight it while I'm here.
All right, that's all I need to know.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Tom. Curtis?
Curtis Talbot, 309 Gettysburg. There's a couple issues. One, this mini barn thing for one thing. Mr. Tanner himself said that the board could approve of mini barns. He said the next board, however, could disapprove. That is what he told us down here in this hall at a meeting, well, probably downstairs, when he was defending your desire to change the covenants. He said that, and it should have been recorded somewhere. That means that, yes, the board could approve of mini barns. And secondly, what he thought was preventing them was the fact that it was a building. But that's disputed even by our county because they don't consider them buildings. Secondly, it's in our covenants to allow for an accessory building, and it could not possibly be a boathouse as he had suggested because it would have to be within 3 feet of the back of the property. So you can't have a boathouse that is connected to the lake and have it 3 feet within your property line. So it had to be actually addressing an accessory type building, which is what you're talking about when you're talking about a shed of some type. Thirdly, I proposed this a year or so ago that we would allow for smaller garages. And you voted it down, Jim, and the rest of the board, now some of you weren't on it, voted that issue down because you didn't want to bother with it.
Curtis?
Now
yes.
don't correct me. I'll just finish. I only got one other thing to say, and that's just electronic voting. It seems odd. Now, you said it costs $1,570, $1,507 for electronic segment, versus $1,350 for each mailer. Now, that's assuming that you had all electronic votes, right, versus all mailing votes. But the truth of the matter is, there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be voting electronic.
Curtis,
So
we
you're
never said that it was going to be exclusively electronic voting. This is going to be a phased, long-term project.
I agree
to get
with
it
that,
in
but
full
you have to add both dollars together then, don't you? You actually are going to be spending more because you're going to approve $1,507 for a segment.
The cost of the electronic voting, as proposed, is, you're right, it's gonna be in addition to the manual voting methods that we currently have. It wasn't ever said it was gonna be a combined, now this is our voting budget.
So now
know
you
that.
might spend as much as $2,800 or almost $3,000 rather than $1,350, right? Because you got, if in fact, let's say you got 50 people on there that want to go electronic. You by a right, you have to allow everyone to vote, especially on
Curtis,
elections.
our voting strategy, if I can just finish this, our voting strategy for the next time the covenants are up for proposal is going to be communicated just like it was before. We'll have our strategy defined at that time. We don't yet, I don't think we're that far yet. There's a lot of things in the mix. The use of electronic voting is something going to be new and added in an effort to try to get better results as far as getting community participation and votes and ballots
Yes,
returned.
I
So it doesn't
understand
continue
that.
to waste our money on something that just we can't get done.
But see, what you have done, Nolan, is affect double the budget on voting until you reach this point where you've eliminated enough of your regular mailed out votes. So you actually increased your expenses on voting.
Curtis, it's gonna cost what we pay to do it manually, and it's gonna cost to get the electronic votes. It's gonna be an incurred cost for the next couple times until however long it takes for us to be able to switch over primarily to electronic. We can't eliminate one or the other.
Yes, I agree.
So that's where we are.
But the problem is, Jim said it might not happen until him or I are in the grave.
No.
Curtis,
We gotta start somewhere. We gotta start somewhere, and we gotta have patience to allow us to get into the 21st century.
Okay, then I have one more question. I agree with what
We
you're saying.
had a lot of questions, Curtis, the last one.
Well, now, wait a minute. I have the right to ask questions.
You do, Curtis. You've asked like 5, so we'll give you one more.
Well, then, how do you know you can trust this electronic voting? It seems to me a lot of counties and states have tried electronic voting and gone back to the old paper ballot. So what makes you think that it's a safe way? And how can you possibly check it to see what the actual results are? How can you verify?
Hang on. We've done a lot of research on this. Jim has answered a lot of those questions already, working with his company that he's been talking to. Go ahead, AJ.
Every person that would be sent out this email for an electronic ballot, Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if I understand this, they would have a unique password and sign-in that they would have emailed to them for each of their lots that they would have underneath their registry, right?
Yeah, it could all be under one.
So if I own...
You could aggregate all your lots.
If I own 3 lots, I could vote with one username and say I allocate my 3 votes for my 3 lots through my unique username that nobody else can get to. It's just like signing up for online banking or anything else where it's generated by a company outside of the POA. We don't do it ourselves. We don't touch those ballots. So there's no
How can you verify?
Curtis, hold on. This has been discussed a lot in the ops meetings. Perhaps you weren't in attendance on
Well,
this isn't just something we came up with now. You've asked your question, sir. I would like to give somebody else a chance to ask theirs, please. Thank you, Curtis. Anybody else?
I'm Jim Limp, 152 Mill Springs. I just probably going to regret even asking this question because it exposes my own ignorance on the subject. I've lived here for 23 years. I go to the boat marina all the time, with my gas and stuff in my boat. I just want to know how you guys came up, my fault for not keeping up, how you came up with the decision to build a new marina, because if I remember correctly, it was remodeled about 3 or 4 years ago, and it looks pretty good to me.
It does look good, but there are a lot of issues with it structurally that need to be addressed, and it was kind of like lipstick on a pig, I think, to try to get it sputtering along and maintain it, but the right thing to do is we really need to upgrade the building in a lot of different ways. Ken, you can speak more to it.
Jim, we tried to make something look as nice as we could by, when I took over, that white trim board wasn't there. That white trim board is covering rotted wood, rotted 2x4s. At one place, I stuck my whole arm through. I could have shook hands on somebody inside. All along the base of it is got some serious decaying issues. What I couldn't stand looking at it, so that's the reason we put those boards to cover it up. Yes, it does look nice, but it has got some serious foundation issues.
So the new one, I guess, is going to cost about $350,000 when I hear. That's a tremendous building to put up, for $360,000. I'm a very conservative person when it comes to money, and it kind of shocked me the last meeting that I found out that the board has the authority to spend that kind of money on a project without putting it to a vote to the community, because it's in reality our money that you're spending. And And I know you guys got a hard job, I wouldn't want it, that's why I don't usually come. But when I look, there's a huge elephant in the room that we're spending tons of money on all these projects. And we don't have good roads to drive on here. And everybody puts that on the Putnam County, that's their job, but they're not doing the job. We ought to be able to budget some of this money that we're so anxious to spend on projects and come up with a plan to have some decent roads to drive on. Because you can do all this building, and if a visitor comes here to the lake and they tear their car up and get into your house, they don't care about what the buildings look like. They want a road to drive on. That's just my concern.
Thank you, Jim. I don't know if you're aware or not, but Ken has been working a lot with Putnam County, trying to define a 5-year plan to help improve the roads. He's got a list, a priority list, scheduled for the next 5 years as to what parts of the lake are going to be done when. It's an issue. I think everybody recognizes that. And as far as the marina construction, this is going to be an involved project, obviously. You're right, it's a lot of money, but as part of the contract that we've selected from this company, there is going to be opportunity for community involvement as far as what it's going to look like, where it's going to be, what people want to see in it. It's not just going to be something that the board ourselves defines and decides. There is going to be a lot of opportunity for community involvement, and I encourage everybody to speak up when you have those opportunities, because we can do what we think is right, but you may not agree at all, and you may not agree, but 10 other people do agree. So it's a difficult process, and I think we all recognize that. But this isn't going to be something that's going to be done just for a moment. Okay, let's hurry up and just get it done because we've got a schedule. I think we're going to work really hard to try to get it done the right way.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Yes.
Diane Calvert, 309 Ginsburg. I'm a little concerned because nothing, not even in the highlights, was anything said about the upcoming election, which is discouraging because the board should be encouraging people to run. But have you had any petitions? I know of one petition that's out. Do you have any other petitions taken out?
Diane, I think an email blast just went out this week saying that, just yesterday, that the ballots are open. There's been several posts on Facebook. I know not everybody's on Facebook, but I think it's something that's been communicated in some of the methods that we've had. I don't know what other methods, as far as highlights, I don't know that it's.
Charlie announced it.
Yeah, Charlie announced it at the last meeting as well, so it would be.
But have you had any petitions taken out? Do you know? I mean, I know you don't want to.
I'm not tracking it personally. I don't know who's picked up a ballot or
right
not.
there.
Yeah, Jeff has.
Yeah, I know Jeff. Who's, oh, there's been 4, okay. Who on the board whose terms are up this time? Tom?
Charlie
And
and Paul, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
I
Diane.
haven't seen the email yet, and
It just
it
went
hasn't
out.
been in the highlights, so I was just wondering what.
It's been announced, like you said, it was Charlie announced it at the last meeting and the email. Keep an eye out, but that's where we are. Any other questions? Yes.
I just want to put a face with a name. You became security when?
Well, hang on, name.
Oh, Chris Daigle, 145 Patriots Lane.
Thank you.
When did you become security out here?
Middle of September.
Okay.
Just been a couple weeks.
I kind of have a problem, and I want the YouTube and everybody to know that I received a phone call last week stating that I better be careful what I say at this board meeting because I'll have a target on my back. I wasn't planning on saying a word. A word.
All right,
and
let me stop.
No, I have the floor.
I made the phone call. I'm Ken Hoops, 150 Gettysburg, and I told you, don't make a ring around yourself. Just
okay, he said I had a lot of good, can I speak, please? I believe I have the floor.
Yeah, Chris has the floor, sorry.
Okay, I was told by several people on the board and out in the public that I made some very good points 3 or 4 months ago when this all came on. Well then, I keep pursuing it. Paul had his whoops on the thing that I called out on Facebook, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with Facebook, which you can tell I've taken a break. Then I received this phone call, and it just irritates me that 5 years ago, I don't know if you were out here then or not, Apparently, my nephews, who are property card holders for 82 Mill Springs, were running from security on jet skis. This lake's small, come on. But anyways, supposedly they were running. They were harassed several times, and Deanna, whatever her name was, she can vouch for it because I had conversations with her. If there is a problem with people at 82 Mill Springs, it needs to be brought to my father-in-law's attention. I reside at 145 Patriots Landing. The way I feel about boat storage or anything should not reflect on my nephews who now they're in college and haven't had issues, I don't believe. I just think it's ridiculous that it's come to that. And for what, speaking my opinion at a board meeting?
Chris, can I answer real quick?
Yes.
So, number one, I think this board encourages everybody to speak their mind. You have this open forum every
Correct.
single month, right? Facebook is a great tool, and it can also be a terrible tool, depending on how it's used. I think where things get out of control is when it becomes personal and the issues aren't separated from the people, right? And I appreciate your input. We have a lot of good ideas that are shared. We have a lot of good dialogue that happens, and it can be really constructive and educating. It can also be very hurtful and attacking and, I mean, just out of control sometimes. And I think you can agree with that.
Yes.
I mean, we've both been on both sides of it probably. So I appreciate your issues, but in today's society and with today's tools, it's really difficult to say something and then run and hide. I mean, it's easy to.
I'm
run and
not on
hide,
here
but it's there.
months.
Right. So appreciate your issues, Chris, and I appreciate your ideas. But you got to, I mean, if you say something that's out of line, I mean, Paul was man enough to stand up today and say, hey, you know, I apologize, came off not that how I
Shouldn't have
intended.
come to that
And,
point,
I mean, we all live here together and we all got to try to get along. So have discussions, but just kind of be mindful of the consequences if things get out of control, because people are going to not forget and they're going to call you out. And
So you're saying because I said Paul is a joke by what he said on that
I
video,
said nothing of the
it's
kind.
okay for me to have a target on my back?
No, I didn't say anything of the kind.
Okay. And also, security, that same 82 Mill Springs has several really good security cameras, so if there's ever a problem, Ken, in the Mill Springs Point area, write down Jack Green, because I'm sure if a crime occurs, he'd be happy to help you.
And like Ken said earlier, guys, anybody that has security cameras at their houses, give the office a call, get yourself on a list. So if something fishy does happen, don't just post it on Facebook. I mean.
I'm gonna leave this on a laughable note. Well, the Corson camera costs more than the Costco camera.
All right, Chris, thanks for your comments. Anybody else? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
I'm such a trouble.
It's like a 10-second delay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take that. Thank you.